intrastat, confirm intrastat section. Couldn't find it there, and it will show my GRN there, so you can see that Enterprise uses the GRNs and not the bills to see what exactly it should be putting on the order. So I'm just going to confirm this through the intrastat. Again, I can go into detail, exactly the same as what we did in sales. I can go into detail and check all the details first, and until I confirm it through here, it won't show on the accounting intrastat analysis. So I'm just going to confirm that through. Now what I'm going to do is create a new bill from against the GRN for the French supplier. Oops. So it's this one. We're going to enter 2345 as the reference and no other changes. So we're just going to save and close on that one. Now what we're going to do is go and void that payment that we put in earlier. So under Tools down the bottom of the menu, we've got Void Payment. And then pick up the payment that we did before. Go into the Payment tab like that, and we can just click the Void button. Okay, so there's our Void Payment transaction. Works exactly the same way as what the customer one did. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is create a supplier refund. And we're just going to create a refund transaction for our UK supplier for £100. Fairly straightforward screen. We can then save the refund and we could go and allocate it. Okay, next thing we're going to do is a supplier payment run. Now before we do that, just need to make sure the data is set up correctly. So I'm going to go and have a look at a UK supplier. So if I go into find supplier, a UK supplier, and I need to make sure that the payment type or payment group on it is remittance and file, like so. I need to put some bank details in, so I'm going to put a sort code of 010101 with a bank account number. Save and close, and then I need to go and change the one on British Air Travel to be remittance and file. And this time I'm also going to put a factor onto this account. I'm going to go and have a look at toys. And I'm going to change this to be check and remittance. Okay. I'm now going to create a payment run. So in the supplier payment folder, we've got create payment run option. Double click that and it runs a wizard. And what I'm going to do is select all suppliers. I'm going to include bills that are eligible for discounts as well. And I'm going to set this date forward a little bit so that I get a few transactions on it. So if I go next, I've got my transactions there for various suppliers. So I'm just going to go and tick a couple for the different suppliers. I've got my UK supplier. I did British Air Travel as an alternative one, and I think I had Toys was one of the other accounts I just amended. So if I go next on that, I can then print a suggested payments report, and that prints out all the transactions that I've just ticked. So maybe someone shows that report to someone and then decides whether they want to pay all these or not. So what they can then do, having made that decision, they can come in and amend the payment run, and they may say, well actually I'm not going to pay that bill, and we'll just pay all the other bills on there. So the next thing that I'm now going to do is I can reprint that that report. Okay, like so, and that'll just show the new ones on there, and then save and close. And then finally I can go and process my payment run. Now I have to process my payment run per payment group. So if I do the first one as remittance and file, this shows any transactions that are against suppliers that have remittance and file. So in this case it's British Air Travel. So if I click process payments on this, and then say that I want to process and print my remittances, okay, it defaults to the right report for me. I could change it and print another one if I needed to as well. So I'm going to print my remittances out. Okay, so there's my one for UK supplier, there's my one for what will be the factoring company, because we're paying them through the factor, so you can see how it does that for the factoring company. Okay, so if I close that down and go back to the previous screen, it asks me did the payments print correctly. Now if I say no at this point, because there's a problem on the printer or something like that, I've then got the option to go and process and print again. If I want to, I can also abandon out of the payment run at this point, and I can start again. So if I process and print again, and come back out of this, when it says did they print correctly, I'm going to say yes, and that will post the payments. Now since I haven't created the file at this point, I forgot to click create file, I can still go and do it through the historical payment run. So if I go into historical payment run, I can go into remittance and file, I can look at that and I can say generate remittance file. Okay, so I now need to go and process my payment run for them other types. So I've got check and remittance in here for instance. So I've got my transaction there, so if I process payments on that, okay, it's going to say how do you want to assign the check number. I can either have it automatically assign check numbers, so I put the starting number in and then just click assign, or I can manually assign them where I actually key in the check number. So I'm just going to use this little plus button to put the last number off the bank. This is number 1, and then click assign, and it'll put the payment number in. So obviously if we've got a whole list of payments in here, it'll just sequentially put the payment number in if I do it this way. Then I click the payment process and print button. Again, I can change the different formats, but I want UK standard check and remittance. Okay, there's my check and remittance. Now when I come out, I get asked again if they printed successfully. I'm going to say yes to this time, so it's just going to basically post them through now. So that's posted them. And again, that will again show in the historical payment routine. If I just go into check only, check and remittance it was, then it will show in there and I can reprint the documents. That concludes the supplier transactions. The next video will go through the inventory transactions.